Aloha and welcome to the Better Together podcast. My name is Jordan Nakaguma and I'm the Business Development Officer here at Lōkahi FCU, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Recently in Hawaii, we've been faced with many unpredicted disasters, leaving many people wondering if they're prepared, and by the time this episode is out, it'll be hurricane season, so we thought it would be best to have the team from Hawaiʻi Emergency Management Agency here talk a little bit about emergency preparedness and just share their expertise. So I'll hand it over and introduce themselves.
Hi, James Barros, the administrator for the agency. With me, probably one of my first hires 3 years ago when I took the job, and he's focused on building communities.
Hi, Jordan. My name is John Vierra, and I'm the community outreach lead at HIEMA, and my main goal and priority is to get communities ready and prepared for the next incident or disaster.
Nice. Before we get started, can you explain a little bit about HIEMA, what you guys do with the state, and just your support that you offer?
So the agency is part of the State Department of Defense. We're tucked under General Logan. General Logan is the director for emergency management, the primary advisor to the governor, and then I'm the administrator running the day-to-day operations for HIEMA. Our mission, there's 4 pillars for us. It's response, recovery, mitigation, and preparedness. So John, when we talk community, we really want to focus on preparedness. We want to get the communities ready to do some kind of response internally. And then more importantly is mitigation. How, as a state, do we mitigate against the hazards that we know exist?
Okay. And, recently with the different weather events and things like that, we've been hearing terms like emergency and disaster. Can you kind of walk me through the difference or how you classify that?
So a disaster, for example, a hurricane is approaching us. We would go to the governor for an emergency declaration. So he'll sign something saying we opened up emergency powers. If the hurricane hits, then we go into a disaster declaration where we go back to the federal government and ask them to declare the state of Hawaii a disaster, which opens up federal support.
Okay. And then, like I said in the intro, by the time this episode is out, it'll be hurricane season. So what are some things that people can do who are watching to prepare for hurricane season?
Well, last season was a very below average season, maybe 2 name systems, I think, that we tracked. We anticipate this being a little more active hurricane season. We'll get the outlook, and what that means is the amount of storms that comes into the Western Pacific area. And National Weather Service will help track it. We'll track it. What that does for us in the state is it causes a little more anxiety, I think, because although we might have more storms to track, all it takes is one. Mm-hmm. And not even a direct hit, just brushing close to us, the winds that it will bring, the swells, the rain. So really, when we look at it, all it takes is one storm.
Yeah. So when should we start preparing, or should we already be prepared for?
Well, what do you mean? You're not
hurricane?
Prepared already? You should be preparing all the time, improving our go bag, re-examining our family plans. In July we had the tsunami warning. The same emergency preparedness plan should be for everything. Mm-hmm. Power outage, extended power outage. We're going into hurricane season. It's also a fire season, right? So what happens when there's a red flag? Everybody should know when the National Weather Service says there's a red flag warning for an area, we should know what that means for us. Okay. So should we be prepared? Absolutely. The plan shouldn't be wait until National Weather Service announces a hurricane coming and then run down to Costco. Mm-hmm. That's probably not the best plan.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things we share with communities, right, is is look around you what already exists, right? Because as the administrator says, we're not waiting for an emergency or disaster to appear or to, be upon us. But what exists in your community already, and how do we leverage that and build upon that? Because a lot of our communities don't think that they have anything in place. And that's not true. There's a lot of things that are already happening in your community that are on a regular basis, on a daily basis, sustainable, right? Supporting the community as is. How do we leverage that and build upon that in getting everyone prepared for then a disaster or a hurricane?
Okay, so just start preparing early as possible and just always be ready. Okay, so moving on to the importance of emergency preparedness. A lot of times emergencies are unexpected. So how does one just, stay prepared for an unexpected turn of events with maybe weather or anything like that?
Well, I mean, part of it is our messaging to be 2 weeks ready. Because really, it's not just hurricanes or tsunamis, extended power outages. Like I said, red flag, fires. Your family plan should address all of it. And so what John was saying too, we already have a network of people. Say, for instance, in your neighborhood, you have a network of people. Expand that and focus on preparedness. Focus on, okay, what does it mean to evacuate? What evacuations are there? What kind of sheltering am I looking for? So just expanding beyond a Boy Scout troop that does Boy Scout stuff, expanding, opening the aperture to say, hey, what about preparedness in our community? And it really starts with the family plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
So what would be a good, a good example of an organization out there that we're trying to open the aperture with?
So we know within the communities, in a long-standing program has been the community emergency response teams, who are volunteers that volunteer within their community as well as build capability to support other communities. But that's a good example of just community coming together and training up together, learning together, to be able then to, as the administrator says, open that aperture, right? How does that one program then relate to maybe some of the school programs that happen? What's happening in our elementary school age students, what are they learning as a part of their curriculum in the school? And that is, we know that they do some exercises, right, for tsunami evacuation routes and things like those. So how do we bring all of that together around the organizations that already exist in the community?
Okay. And, during times of disaster, emergency, there's a lot of things going on, especially with social media, and there's a lot of people out there who are posting updates, but some of them might not be credible. What kind of sources should we be looking out for and following during these times?
Well, everyone should sign up right now for their county. Every county has a platform that they use to put out messaging, but it's one of those that you got to sign up for. Mm-hmm. So we encourage everybody to sign up for the county alerts, because that's when on your cell phone you'll get the message from the county. You'll also get a message from us on a statewide, and even National Weather Service will push out stuff. During a tsunami, Pacific Tsunami Warning Center will push stuff out on the cell phones. But right now, a very credible source will be your county platform, so sign up for that. Mm-hmm. The other one, the social media, I think every county has a social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Follow them, mm-hmm. because they'll put out messaging on that too. So really look at the credible sources that's coming. And I know sometimes we don't want to trust government. But we'll work with communities. For example, some of the communities that John's working with, we'll push out messaging to that trusted source in the community that can share it. Because there'll be a lot of misinformation that happens, unfortunately. But go back to trusted sources.
Okay. How does HIEMA work with the community to bolster, the support maybe after a emergency or time of need?
Uh, During the response, we'll work with the county and the first responders during the response phase. During the recovery, depending on the scale, nonprofits, businesses. The other one that John's working with is, our private partners and developing that, because everybody wants to help, but we don't want to duplicate efforts. So we want to leverage really our churches and religious groups. I think one of the big ones we're really working on is a private partner.
Yeah, and so that one of the things we learned from Lahaina, right, was that as a whole community is there to support, but not everybody understands how they can be a part of the response in the recovery. And so a key factor in all of this, right, is our private for-profit partners as well as our nonprofits, and these are really the people that every day they're doing what they do, right? They provide a service or a product to the community. And so we want to build upon that and identify how can we build stronger public-private partnerships, right? That allows our private partners to do what they already do and what they're already good at, and allowing the government to support that and provide information, provide, the ground truthing, or what we call ground truthing, so that we know what information should be shared through our capabilities as a government agency, but then sharing that with the private partners so they can plan accordingly as well. And another part of that is not only do we need the private partners to support where needed, we also need the private partners to understand how to be resilient themselves. Because as a state, when a disaster hits anywhere in a state, that doesn't just impact that those communities that were directly impacted by the incident, but our economy, right? The ability for our communities to continue to move and develop and flourish. We need that's important that continues to happen. And so that's what we provide education and training on as well.
Yeah, leveraging the expertise of our private partners. Mm-hmm. So just like we'll look at our first responders, right? Fire and police and EMS, they all have their specialties. We'll leverage National Guard assets to help them. It's the same with our private partners and their expertise, leveraging that in our response and recovery of the communities.
Yeah, kind of using like their strengths
Yeah.
to support the community. So how do you, I guess, educate the public on mobilizing them as individuals or even communities, maybe before those outside resources are available? How might you prepare the community to be ready?
That's a tough challenge because, for the past 3 years, we've been talking about 2 weeks ready. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about a go bag. And the 2 weeks ready is an important messaging for us because of our vulnerabilities. Because if you look at the way commodities come into the state, everything comes from the ocean. Mm-hmm. Everything comes to the port. And then from the port of Honolulu, it goes out. Any disruption in that chain can cause an emergency. So when we talked about, is it a hurricane? Is it a tsunami? It could be, a strike on the ports in California that disrupt that. That's why that 2 weeks ready is an important message that we push out. We just recently heard that only 12% of our population is 2 weeks ready. Wow. And I know it's challenging because when you look at it, a family of 5, you need a gallon of water per person. So I'm not good at math per day. I'm not good at math. So 5 people, 5 gallons times 21, something like that. That's a lot of water.
Yeah.
So where do we store that if we're going to have that? I think one thing that the Board of Water Supply puts out, I don't know if you saw Ernie Lau, he has these collapsible bags that hold about a gallon and a half.
Oh, okay.
So having that in your 2 weeks ready, so you don't have cases of water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's doing the little things that can help your family. So I think another example is what's in the cupboard right now. What's in your freezer? What's in the freezer? Outside in the patio. What do you have in there? Because that's part of your 2 weeks ready. You don't have to have cases of MREs on the side, but really you gotta really think about what does that look like for 2 weeks ready, and the food that I decide to put in my how do I prepare it? Am I going to eat cold Vienna sausage for 2 weeks? You can. John's 2 weeks ready was pork grinds. His closet was just full of pork grinds 2 weeks ready. We got to augment that with other things.
Okay, and I imagine that the 2 weeks ready, like you said, if you have families or even like older family members, younger family members, pets, that kind of changes things. So how do you kind of suggest like planning for getting those supplies ready, and what's like the bare minimum to have in that?
So even, a couple years ago, I think it was the food bank that gave that strategy, is if you cannot be 2 weeks ready, how about 3 days ready? Right? And like I said, think about it going, okay, I have pork grinds in the closet. We can use that. Maybe I'll have a case of cup of noodles with some Vienna sausage. But think about the meal that you're going to eat, and then think about how you're going to prepare it. You need to boil water to make your cup of noodle, right? So you got to go through that process of really looking at what I have and what I need.
Yeah. Okay. So you said the water thing, 1 gallon of water per person a day.
Yeah.
So how would you like recommend storing that? Because I can imagine for larger families, you gotta really plan for that. And maybe if you don't have a big house or wherever to store it, like what do you do in that situation?
Those collapsible bags that Board of Water Supply gives out, and you can purchase other collapsible bigger storage water. So when we start tracking a hurricane or emergency, take that out, fill it up with water. I can tell you during Red Hill, right? When Red Hill came up and there was fuel being spoke about in the water system, I filled up some jugs of water just to have that, just in case, not knowing how this thing's going to play out. So I filled up some water. So having those collapsible bags is a good start too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other like foods and stuff should we have just prepared on the side?
So at HIEMA, we have in our freezer, we go to Costco at the beginning of the hurricane season, and we buy the big packs of hot dogs and meat. And I think we have like 2 cases of Hot Pockets. So we'll have some food that's readily available. Big peanut butter and jelly. And then we'll buy, as a storm approaches, we'll go buy bread and make sure we have bread. We'll freeze some bread. And that's just at HIEMA for us to be able to have something.
Yeah.
So the key to, Jordan, with families and communities, right, is not to raise this anxiety and preparedness, right? Everybody's like, oh my gosh. But first identify, how do you eat now, right? How do you live now? Because for a family of 5, there's a lot of water already in the house somewhere, right? Because there's a lot of food. There's probably the ways to facilitate, in other words, a freezer. If you have a larger family, chances are you have a bigger freezer. So, or not, but whatever the situation is, right, is to sort of bring down some of the anxiousness about preparedness, is look at what you have today, right? And look at those options. So a lot of people in the communities have water service already, right? Where the company will bring in the 5-gallon bottle of water. So, you can order extra, so it's a matter of being creative, understanding what you have and being creative. Because if we're always looking at, as Administrator says, if you don't have 14 days, do 3, do 2, do whatever you can. And that should be based on how you are living currently, right? And build upon that, because we do have to change the culture in Hawaii about preparedness, right? It cannot be just hurricane season. So having this type of podcast or this type of platform to talk this through, this is awesome. This brings down anxiety in people, right? And this is coming from me that is directly in the communities and sharing some of this. When we raise awareness, it helps people breathe a little easier and to open their minds creatively about preparedness. And that when that happens, your eyes open to see around you what are the faith-based organizations doing around, what are the nonprofits, for-profits in your community doing, the rec center down the street, the school down the street. What's happening all around you already that is, supports and can enhance preparedness. And so food is a big deal, right? In Hawaii, everybody loves food, right? So we don't have a problem for the most part, generally across. A lot of people eat Vienna sausage, a lot of people eat Spam. All of these are non-perishables. They can last, and we actually like eating them, right? So how do we get creative in coming up with ways on how would you do it for your family? What we're sharing is awareness on. Here's the general guidelines. Here's the guidelines that we put out based on research and experience, right? And then how do you take that? How does each individual take that and make it sort of their own around those guidelines, right? This is not just so cut and dry. You have to have this, and that, right? And so, and so look, as we're talking about it this way now, we're smiling a little bit more. It's lightening the conversation a little bit, yeah. So, so there's ways to do it. We just have to be creative, but understanding what the guidelines are, the 2-week ready, take that and go from there and start there.
Okay, nice. So in emergencies, sometimes there's power outages. Would you recommend having like some sort of generator, extra power, for like families and homes and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. The other one is these power packs that you can buy and purchase. A lot of them are solar now.
Oh, nice.
And in fact, you can get solar generators so that you don't have to use the gasoline. But even small little burners that you can heat up water or put your frying pan on. We did a cooking show with Sam Choi, and that's what we cooked on, is these propane little hot plate kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. So we did a show and we talked about taking the stuff that's already in the closet or in your pantry. In a refrigerator and looking at, okay, what can I do to make this meal? And so you're not eating MREs or cup of noodles all day.
Yeah. Okay. And then as for like homeowners, maybe if you're owning a home or even renting, how should you maybe prepare your home and keep it safe during maybe hurricane season or just that general time?
Check your insurance now, right? Before we get into hurricane season, double check what your insurance coverage is. That is critical for the insurance. And then when we start to talk about hardening your home, you're looking at hurricane clips for your roof, the hurricane straps. You're looking at strengthening your windows and your doors. So there's things you can do for your home. One of the things would be, as a storm is approaching, what's around the home, and that's part of our individual family plan, and then building that bigger community plan. What's around the community? Like John said, here's my home. Now, what else is happening around us? Yeah.
Okay. Also something, so recently, like we had some power outages, a lot of rain, and I personally ran into this experience. So I went to the store, had to get some food for dinner, and the power was out. So we could go in the store and purchase things, but their card reader wasn't working because there was no electricity. And luckily I had some cash on hand, but say I wasn't prepared, didn't have cash. So how much cash should you have on hand, just prepared, maybe having on the side in your go bag?
Well, in my go bag, I have about $100 in the go bag, just of some petty cash. Hidden in my house, I have another $100 of petty cash, but it's hidden. So but you gotta have that emergency cash, because you're right. Power in a large event, power is gonna be out for a while. It's gonna be a while for us to restore power. So this Apple Tap that we use now and the card readers, that's not gonna work. So having cash is important. But what'll happen too is with John working with the private partners too, in a large emergency, we will be looking at facilitating some movement of commodities, right? Well, you see in Lahaina, you saw it in Wailua, you saw it across Hawaii Island, that these distribution centers or distribution areas, these pods, will set up and give out food. So when we talk about 2 weeks ready, that's the other thing too, is if you can be 2 weeks ready and you can add maybe 2 more days of supplies to help your neighbor, that'll help too.
Okay. And then on the topic of, having the cash, what other important documents should I maybe have on hand in a go bag or keep it safe somewhere?
So your identification, definitely. So in my go bag, I don't carry my passport, but I do have a Xerox copy of my passport. Now, if there's a hurricane approaching, I'm gonna throw my passport in my go bag. So I could grab my go bag right now, and I have copies of my documents.
Okay.
So having that, because what will happen too is, as we start the recovery process, having identification will be critical in proving that you are who you are and your place of residence. So I do have a copy of my electric bill in my go bag too. So I have a bill with my address, who I am, and I picture IDs.
Okay. And other important documents, maybe Social Security, birth certificate, should I keep that at home and not put it in the go bag then?
I keep them at home, and like I said, if something happens, they're in a safe. If something happens, I'll throw it in my go bag and I'll take it with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just having it ready just in case. Yeah. Okay.
So Jordan, one of the things we also work through with the communities is a personal preparedness workbook, right? Just information. So when we take individuals, it's important, of course. So your medications that your prescriptions, your doctors, your points of contact, having all that in a workbook. When we see it becoming more critical is with families, because we like to think that in the case of a disaster, we're going to be together as a family. But we all know that kids go to different schools, parents working in different areas. We got to be prepared that we're going to be separated for a moment in time, right? And so what that documentation, who, as far as maybe parents or guardians, are looking at their families, how do they make sure that that information lives in their kids' go bags as well, right? And so we go through this process with the communities. Is what does a personal preparedness workbook look like for you with the documents, or supplemental to documentation with just information?
Okay, sounds good. So when we were chatting about preparing for this episode, we were talking about a go bag, and we kind of talked about it in this podcast already. So did you want to kind of walk us through your
What my go bag
and
looks like?
what you have in it?
My go bag. What does your family go bag look like? What does your kids' go bags look like? So I don't expect you to have this. You want to try this on?
That was heavy.
Yeah. But in the go bag, I do have a first aid. This is a first aid kit. I do have so my flashlight would work, not like yours, because mine is crank. I don't need a battery. I
nice.
Crank it, right? So, and there's other ones that are solar powered, and what this is also a radio. Because with power going down, everybody relies on our cell phones right now, right, for all our information. So you can anticipate some outages on cell towers as power is going down. We do have backup power on there's an AM station that we can put out information on. So having a radio that doesn't rely on batteries, that I can crank, that I can use solar, that's a flashlight. So this is kind of cool, huh?
Wow. Okay.
And then I have another flashlight that uses solar and crank. So having a flashlight is important. This is another solar light. You blow it up, and then it's solar. So it's another kind of a lantern kind of a thing. I should have tested it before I came on now. But you open it up. First aid kit. Matches, lighter, pens. So when you pulled yours out and you said your jacket, it wasn't really a jacket, yeah? What was
like
that?
a sweater, cardigan.
Yeah, sweater. So it's gonna rain, so that thing would be soaked, right? So having some kind of rain jacket. In fact, I'll give you mine to put in your. So I carry extra rubbish trash bags.
Oh, smart.
You could put this on, right, as a
Poncho. Yeah.
I have extra glasses just in case. You know what? You can have this too. This is a waterproof bag to put your extra clothes in.
Oh,
So you never have any extra clothes.
I would put that in as I'm running out.
Oh, yeah, no. So, put some socks, a t-shirt, shorts, and hair. You can
okay.
You can put that in your bag too. And then you had one Vienna sausage. That's good, one Vienna sausage, but I have some quick snacks.
Okay.
A little bit more nutritious than just the Vienna sausage. Here, you can have this. It's an Oregon rain poncho.
Oh, poncho.
You can put that in your go bag.
Thank you.
Right? Like I said, I have extra clothes, mostly socks. I need my feet gotta be dry, so you can have this. And then you had your documents.
Yeah.
But you wanna put them in a bag like this to keep it dry.
Okay.
So remember, I said I got some cash, and then in this envelope I have some of my documents. I also have a flash drive. I took pictures of my house, some of the items that are in there, scanned some documents, and it's on here.
Okay.
So I have this. And then we talked about water. I keep, if I have to use this, then we're in bad shape because I'm drinking water out of a stream. So if we got to use this, we're in bad shape. So that's some of the things that I have in my go bag. Safety glasses, a tool to help open cans, if you have canned food. And then, here, you can have this too. Here's a whistle.
Oh, yeah.
If you get lost, here you can have that too.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I just carry some pens and some other stuff. But it's if I grab this, I can survive a couple of days with just this. And you can have this too.
Thank you.
Put that in your go bag.
Okay.
So that's my go bag. I just grab them and go.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to put that all together?
Not that long. Slowly just picking up certain things and putting them in there. And
Jordan's gotten better over time.
Yeah.
Even though I've been sure he's refining his go bag.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got a lot of work to do, but I think that's really helpful to know. How does your go bag look?
I'm working on mine as well. You can go to ready.hawaii.gov, and there's a list of information. There's all kind of information up there, right? So all these things that we're talking about today, it really lives on our website. But yeah, so it's a work in progress. Yeah. But because now you have to have, depending to your go bag at the office, your go bag from home.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So at least have one, build upon one, and then you can just duplicate that, right?
Okay, good to know. Thank you. So during an actual emergency, might be very chaotic, a lot going on, your emotions might be heightened. How do you recommend staying calm, making sure that you follow your plan with either your family or just by yourself?
But I think John talked about it earlier. As the better prepared we are, the less anxiety we'll have, right? If we talk through, okay, there's a tsunami. What do we do? You know, our family plan was always get to Nana's house. Everybody meets at Nana's house because everybody was spread out. In fact, some people were going to school in the evacuation zone. Some were out of the evacuation zone. Whatever it is, get to Nana's house, we'll come to you. So if we all understand that plan, that brings the anxiety down a little bit.
Yeah, having a plan in place. Do you
Yeah.
recommend maybe like practicing a plan
Yeah.
with the family or talking it through every once in a while?
Having just at dinner talking the plan through will help.
Okay.
And I mean, you could exercise it, right? Everybody go, okay, tsunami warning, now what? Right? It's like a fire escape
Yeah,
plan for
yeah,
your
yeah.
house, but bigger. Okay, there's a hurricane coming. I mean, when we talk about the strengths of the hurricane, to looking at the home, going, okay, at what point do I need to evacuate my own home because I don't think it's going to withstand, you know, a Cat 3.
Okay. Let's see. For anybody who's watching this video, what are like the first steps you can take? I know we kind of touched on like starting a plan, but if you have no plan at all and you have a family, what kind of steps should we start looking into before maybe hurricane season starts?
Ready.hawaii.gov. There's a lot of information out there. One thing I would suggest, right, is first awareness, like in your immediate surroundings, not just home, because although we all like to think that the sirens may go off or we're going to get these warnings, we're all sitting at home having dinner together, you know, no, you could be at work, you could be in traffic, right? So awareness, like in my daily route back and forth, home to work, where I go and hang out with community or with friends, what's the area? What's the situation? Awareness is huge, is key. What are the vulnerabilities, right? What are your personal vulnerabilities when it comes to a hurricane or any other disaster? And so looking at that, we start creating value, right? We start, looking around and say, okay, how do I come up with a plan? Because the challenge is most communities, most individuals don't think they need a plan, right? And, in Hawaii, we're close-knit, so we're always taking care of each other in some way or the other, right? Generally as a community. And we all think, we got them, right? I was that person before I started this job. I got him. I'm good,
Yeah, that's when you look in his closet, all he has is pork rinds.
So awareness, then we can move into the educational component of that, right? Because if people are not aware or not concerned, it's hard to educate and have it sink in to someone. So again, like discussions like this and making it real, right? And through our own awareness, it is very real when you think about it right now in your head. Hey, what if I was stuck on my way home? What if something happened on my way home and I'm in traffic? What am I going to do? Who am I going to call? Who's trying to call me? Right? If you have a family or others that you're responsible for, in what order do I make these calls? Right? I have a couple of kids myself, and it's okay. Do I have to have a list on which kid I'm calling first, or are they calling mom, or they're calling dad? So it's just awareness. I think that's the first step. Let's get awareness and just look around in your everyday existence, and how do you want to protect that, right, and sustain that.
Yeah, lots to think about. I think there was a lot of things that I haven't even thought about until we were preparing for this episode. So I'll definitely take some time to prepare and just take the steps to be more aware in general. But before we get wrapped up, I think we're nearing the end of our episode, but a fun little question. I know you showed us your go bag, but what's like your favorite like emergency preparedness food or item that you have in your bag, and why?
My favorite food would be the granola bar, I guess. I eat. That's a snack I eat all the time. So, but I keep some in my bag because I know that's what I think I can live on granola bars.
Granola bars.
Yeah. Mine is trail mix.
Okay.
When we travel, trail mix. Anytime I need some little snack, is trail mix.
Yeah.
So I can count on trail mix.
Nice. Okay. Well.
And pork rinds.
And pork
rinds. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're gonna start wrapping up the episode. So thank you so much for taking the time to educate me and also our viewers with today's episode. But before we end, what is one key takeaway you want viewers to walk away with today?
From my perspective, go to the website, Hawaii.ready.gov. Oh, readyhawaii.gov.
Ready.hawaii.gov.
Go to the website. And that's the second point. Sign up for the county alerts. Go in and sign up, because that's where you're going to get the trusted message from the emergency management enterprise.
Okay.
John, you guys?
Yeah, for me, being community based, right, is you're not alone in this, right? Everybody gotta understand that everybody's thinking about this right now, especially in Hawaii, or should be, and it's not an individual effort. And as administrator always says, it's a kako effort, right? It's everyone from emergency responders to government to private partners to all the citizens across the state. But just remember, you're not alone. There's information out there, and there's people having these type of discussions. And appreciate you folks inviting us to be a part of this discussion, because this is hugely important, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We're going to end the episode here, but we just wanted to let you all know that we are on social media. We are Lōkahi FCU, and we will be posting this on YouTube. You can check out our other episodes also on our YouTube channel. And for viewers who want to find you all on social media or online, where can they find you?
Hawaii_EMA. Yes.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.